Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have Kayla Frerking with us, and Kayla is the leader in 1031 exchanges. Not only is her company called that, but we're going to find out why she is the leader in 1031 exchanges. So Kayla, it is great to have you, and I'd just love to hear kind of your story of how you got to this point of being the leader in 1031 exchanges.
I love that, Bruce. Thanks for having me. Leader's a great name. It stems from Leader Bank, which is operated out of the East Coast in Arlington. So we're a subsidiary of Leader Bank, and we thought what better way to tie in the name and not go with some acronym like other qualified intermediaries, but really focus on what's utilitarian. So Leader 1031. I love it here. It's been a fantastic couple years since I onboarded with the company, and we've been growing it ever since.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that is fantastic. So it's interesting. How are you marketing yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I love the leader pitch too, right? Our
Yeah.
leader. Yeah. So we're definitely marketing using the name. Obviously, newsletters going out. I have a lot of events. I'm starting to host some. I'm calling it my game show tour this year,
I like
which
that.
I'm emphasizing on deal or no deal and educating brokers and attorneys on a case that they pick that correlates with a specific asset and what they can exchange it for. So a lot of fun marketing. I choose to lead in the industry a little bit different. I think the tax code can be a little bit boring.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
bringing the joy and the hype and trying to make it fun is really my passion and goal here to lead it in a different direction.
Well, so far so good because I think this is a fantastic way. You're right. 1031 exchange can be like, oh yeah, okay, just give me the money and we'll get it transferred, but it's not nearly that easy. So, uh,
No.
yeah, I think this is fantastic. So you are marketing to attorneys a fair amount, it sounds like.
Yeah, we are. We are attorneys, brokers, realtors is, bread and butter for here in California, right? We have median sales prices through the roof compared to the rest of the country. Since our parent company is in Massachusetts, we almost mirror inventory as well when it comes to residential and commercial, which is very unique. So
That's it. Yeah. Wow.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. When I'm educating, for instance, next week in San Diego, I'll be focusing with more realtors and title escrow companies. And then when I go out to the East Coast in April, I travel a lot, by the way.
Eh,
We'll be
Oh, right.
focusing more.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be focusing more on attorneys because it's an attorney state, right? So
Yeah.
attorneys, CPAs, and really more of those brokers like yourself.
So you are basically nationwide. Can you go, what happens when a property goes in or out of Canada?
That can't happen, right? So
Oh,
yeah, that's a no.
okay, good question. All right.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
not going to happen. Yeah.
Nope. So different reconciliation acts eliminated that as a possibility actually in 1989. So when we see the restriction of ownership is going to completely be an exchangeable asset only in the United States. So it's a federal tax code that was created in 1921. It was originally a 202B of the tax code, and then it turned into 202C of the tax code, then 112B of the tax code, and then we have it changed into 1031. So there's so many restrictions and regulations that are slapped on this specific tax code as it grows and matures with our country and our economy. So we do not have the option to exchange into or out of the United States, no foreign exchange properties. But I did do one recently into the US Virgin Islands.
Oh,
So that was a fun one, I will say. It was unique.
oh, wow. Okay. So there is sort of a way to,
Yeah.
yeah, place your money in the Virgin Islands. So that's
Yeah.
always nice.
Guam, Puerto Rico.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so there are sort of offshore possibilities, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
I suspect you have a few things coming in from Hawaii or in and out of Hawaii.
I do. I do. Very frequently, I do. Absolutely. Um,
So what's been kind of the bulk of the transactions of late? You said things were a little bit slow, before and after the election, but things are starting to pick up again.
yeah. Yeah, we definitely piggyback off the real estate market, especially residential, right? So when we start seeing rates drop, there's more activity, right? Or we see a little bit of relief in the CPI, anything that kind of triggers, just like anything economics in the United States, people want to start moving assets, right?
Yeah.
There's no point for someone who has a property that's leveraged at a good rate to do an exchange when they have to replace debt in a 1031 and they're going for a higher rate. So why not wait? You have a performing asset if you do, right? Until that
Yeah.
time comes. So that's been my experience over the last decade of doing exchanges, is kind of watching in that January, February is what I like to call planting season, right? Where we're planting the
I
seeds
like
for
that.
growth in the
Yeah.
spring. Yeah. So we'll get there. We'll get there though. We had huge deals come in December, January, and then just a couple weeks of that lull. But those inquiries, my phone is hot right now, which is good.
Oh, that's good. So the planting season is in good shape.
It sure is, Bruce.
So the so for those that might be listening, there's a 2-year period. If you're on a single family house and you want to sell it, isn't that you have to hold it for 2 years in a rental situation before you can exchange it? Is my memory correct?
Your memory is correct. Yes. So that's what we like to call as a gray area, where certain CPAs, my CPA, other CPAs recommend a year and a day
Oh,
minimum, two more conservatively held for 2 full calendar years, classifying that as an investment property, having rental income on your Schedule E, right? Before you
yeah.
can exchange that asset, because your intent there is to hold for investment purposes before exchanging it for like kind.
Well, I'm very impressed with your knowledge of the history and I guess you have to know this information in order to make it all work.
You'd be surprised. Not a lot of people in my industry geek out as much as I do. I will thank my father for that, and my mother. My dad created business method patents for tenancy and common ownership way back when. So dinner
Wow.
table talk for me was really diving into that. I didn't want to like it. I don't know why we're always defiant as children, and right. But here I am, and I have all of my tax books, and some of my favorite conversations that I have today are with my dad, and we just go through different exchanges and transactions. It sounds so boring when I say it out loud.
You obviously got the genetic code on how to. I mean, obviously there are salespeople that don't really know their product, and then there are salespeople like you that do definitely know their product, and so I'm
Yeah.
sure that makes it a much easier sale. So
Yeah.
in your educational pieces, do you what's your kind of lead in? Do you have a here's the pain of the industry situation, or what's your selling point, so to speak?
As far as selling point, for me is helping people and
Mhm.
deferring capital gains. So I like to say everyone has a WIFM on their forehead. What's in it for me, right? Everyone has that. We're all walking around with the day-to-day of what's in it for me on what I'm doing, what I'm educating. So for my exchangers, when I talk to them, or a realtor broker that needs support, right, for a QI, qualified intermediary like myself, to come in and talk to the client, I always ask what their goals are. Where are you going? What is it that you want to do, so we can know where the end game is and start working on the buildup to get them in that direction, whether it's changing title, if they're doing a drop and swap or swap and drop, and really understanding the entity ownerships to get them into that long-term plan for either retirement or a business structure.
Well, I think a lot of people going into an exchange don't realize the mechanism of how to make it all work, and they think, oh, okay, this is going to happen in a couple days and we'll be all done. But it's a little more difficult than that.
It
So maybe you
sure
can kind of
is.
walk us through that just for the audience's sake, so they understand.
Sure, sure. So let's say you, Bruce, you bring me a property. You say, all right, Kayla, I'm ready to sell my commercial building and I've listed it. I have a buyer in place. In a traditional sale, you would sell that asset and you would collect sale proceeds, triggering a taxable event. In a 1031 exchange, since you brought this asset to me and said, hey, I want to do an exchange with it. Once you're in escrow with that property, we're in contact. We create an exchange agreement and an assignment and communicate with escrow and title on the settlement to make sure everything is structured correctly, right? All documents are cohesive, which we know very well in real estate. Things have to match.
Yeah, yeah,
So, right, to the best of our ability to match.
yeah, right, right, right. How often do you get into title issues?
I know, I know. So that's my job, right? To really look in the back end, make sure we're working with the correct taxpayer. So we have Bruce on title who's doing an exchange. We would set up your exchange agreement to mimic that. And then fast forward to day of close, the settlement day. The sale proceeds are wired into a segregated account that we would hold on your behalf here at Leader 1031, and it starts your timeline. So day of close is day 0. The following day, you have 45 calendar days. That's a month and a half, right?
Yeah.
To formally identify the new property, plus an additional 135 days to close on only what you've ID'd. And that entire exchange period is 180, 45 plus 135. So, I mean, when you scale it back and you think about what I'm doing, I'm holding those sale proceeds within the safe harbor regulation of our tax code. So I'm the safe space or the middleman or woman, right?
Right.
Where we're
Yeah.
holding the funds for you in lieu of triggering that taxable event.
But don't a lot of people, I know, at least from my side of the equation, don't a lot of people like maybe hold off their close of escrow until they're kind of sure what they're identifying and kind of get that done first before they jump into the 45 days?
They sure do. They sure do, right? So that's a little trick of the trade, which you know, because you're leaps and bounds above other people in the game. Because if you are to just start looking in your timeline when it's day 1,
Yeah.
right, your investigative strategy is off. That's why that WIFM comes into place. What's in it for me? Where are you looking to go? Start honing in on that area that you want. Maybe it's out of state. Who knows? Relocation,
Right.
geographic areas, higher producing assets, diversification. Start getting ahead of it. So when that offer does come in our example with your property, you can look at it and say, wait, this is a 30-day close. Let's push it to a 90-day contingent on me finding replacement so I could tighten up that close on the relinquished property, which is the one you're selling.
And you can only identify a certain number of properties, right?
Yeah, you're correct. So within that 45-day window, the most commonly used rule is the 3 property rule. So you're limited, you're capped at 3 properties. You can look at it as a diversification strategy, buy all 3 if you identify 3, or maybe a safety net plan, right? Backup plan. Identify 1, maybe identify 2 that are traditional real estate, commercial and residential, and maybe the third is an alternative investment, a DST, Delaware Statutory Trust, right? For a backup plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Delaware trusts, how is that
Mhm.
getting more and more popular? What's happening with that?
It was created in 2004, so Revenue Procedure 2004-86, right? The 86 one created that year. So it has been increasingly more popular. Again, another dinner table talk with my dad, who is a registered rep.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yes,
I'd love
yes,
to hear
I
that
actually,
conversation. Yeah.
yeah, just fly on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I've seen them become way more popular, especially when I mention them to my exchangers. Because again, it's passion for me. I don't want
Yeah.
you to have a blown exchange, and if there's an opportunity for you to put your money in what's classified as both real estate and a security, you
Right.
qualify for the exchange in a DST. You're not taking boot, which is cash that you don't use in the exchange, and you're paying taxes on it. So why not put it in a DST that performs for you, wait till it goes full cycle, ready to sell, and then exchange again into maybe a different asset that you really desired.
Oh, I see. To use it sort of as an interim stage,
Yes.
just
Yep.
because. So when during your identification period, you obviously have to identify a DST, right?
Yes.
Can you identify 3 of them? I suppose you could.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And that 3 property rule is the most commonly used rule. There's the other rules. I don't want to get into the weeds too much here that help for
But
diversification
isn't
with
there a
people who.
five property rule or something?
There's 200% and 95%, which just flip flop the equation and cap it on the value.
Yeah.
So they're
Oh,
interesting.
oh,
But see, if you were to tell me this is my goal, Kayla, I want to buy 5 different properties and I'm selling this building, I know right off the bat, I'm not going to talk to you about the 3 property rule. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it helps me navigate and find solutions for you as my client.
Well, and then there's the famous or not so famous reverse exchange, right?
Yes, reverses.
How
Yeah.
often is that happening?
Very frequently, actually.
Oh, really?
I saw it more just right after post-COVID when we saw that frenzy.
Ah,
Just because of timelines and multiple offers, people wanted to make sure that they could acquire the replacement property first, right? So
yeah,
people were
yeah.
selling left and right. Let's get that acquisition. And so what happens there from a transaction standpoint in basics is the exchanger taxpayer has to come up with funds, whether it's all cash or loan, a loan, mortgage and cash, in order to purchase the replacement property. After close, they have 180 days to close the relinquished property. Then the cash comes from the relinquished sale, replenishes the
Oh,
loan, goes back in their pocket.
oh, so you still are under the gun in terms of time frame.
Yes, you are.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. So, well, that's okay, I guess. I don't know.
Well, let
Maybe.
me ask you this. If you knew the property that you wanted, you've been waiting for it to get listed. Let's say it's residential somewhere in your
Yeah,
area that
okay.
you've been
All right.
waiting for that one. It's a block over. It has the bigger lot with the amazing house that you walk the dog by every day. And
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that's
Yeah,
the
right,
one.
right.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I want this one. Yeah,
Yep. Would you make an offer on that knowing, okay, I have another investment property. We can hold that for replacement for 2 years as an investment, right? If I close
yeah,
on it.
right.
Then once you close, it gives you 180 days or 6 months to sell your other investment.
That's usually enough time.
Yeah.
Can you exchange that, or is it like hardcore? I mean, can you extend that, or is that kind of hardcore?
You
No.
cannot extend that unless there's leftover funds and you're doing a forward exchange with the remaining funds, which is
Oh,
a
wow.
unique one. But no, it's definitely hard stop unless there's a disaster extension, which you don't want anyway.
Totally, no, no thanks.
No.
So, what about the situation I've heard that some people are not terribly thrilled about DSTs? They put money into it, but they couldn't get money out. Are you seeing any of that kind of thing happening?
Great statement. DSTs are very illiquid, right? It depends on when the sponsor is willing to sell or go full cycle.
Yeah,
So when that happens, right, you can get your money out. You can cash out, you can go back into a DST or exchange into traditional real estate. If you wanted to sell prior to the DST going full cycle, you could sell to other beneficial interest owners in the DST. If
right.
we're together in the same DST, I could sell to you. However, if it's not performing, are you going to offer me fair market value knowing that I'm limited?
Yeah, yeah. No, it can be a little dicey, I think, but
Yes.
yeah. I think if you are aware of it going in and you think that's going to work for you, then great. But
Yeah.
I think some people get into it kind of and thinking, oh, this is easy. I'm just going to put my money over here, and then they realize, well, I'm not able to get it back out very quickly. So
Right. And that's more of the hands-on investor, right? A lot of the time I have investors that they want the hands-off approach. They're tired
right, right.
of managing real estate. They want the passive income. Write me a check. I want to be on the beach somewhere with a pina colada, right? Which is
Yeah,
fair. I
yeah,
think
don't bother me.
everyone
Just send me the check. I'm fine. Yeah, and
sounds
I think
nice.
there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
People are like managing real estate can be intense. So
Hmm.
you can just sit back and relax if you go into DST and see what happens from there.
Yeah.
Obviously, so just out of curiosity, I would assume more and more DSTs are available for people to choose from.
Yeah, there are set broker dealers out there. Different broker dealers offer different asset classes, right?
Yeah.
So for
Okay.
you, you can list any commercial real estate, right? Based on
Yeah.
California licensing in your brokerage.
Yeah.
Depending on where the offering is and what's been approved through each broker dealer, you may have a different offering if you're a registered representative than I do if I'm with a different broker dealer.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, I see. Oh,
mhm.
interesting. Oh, so wait, now I'm slightly confused. So are you a broker dealer for DSTs?
I am not.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just very educated on it. I should probably get my securities license and do it. That's next, Bruce.
Is your dad telling you, "Hey, okay, Kayla, come on, let's go
He
there now."
sure is. He sure is.
That's
Yeah. No, I love what I do though in this space. We'll see though. There's
yeah,
plenty of time and I tend to, as I mentioned, geek out on tax codes, but when I've exhausted my education on something, you asked me early on about books. I love reading. So
yeah,
if there's an opportunity to grow knowledge base, I will.
Well, it's obvious from your pitch or your knowledge that you know what you're doing. So
Thanks, Bruce.
where can people find you, Kayla?
Sure. Yeah. So I split my time between San Diego and Boise, Idaho. But as far as searching for me, it's leader1031.com. My email is listed below here, Kayla.Frerking at leader1031.com. I know it's hard to spell, but Frerking. You can thank my husband for that. Great guy. So yeah, you can search us, find me on LinkedIn, email. My cell phone number is 760-622-7716. We cover all 50 states. I need to add that too. So we are insured since we are backed by a bank in all 50 states. It's fantastic doing that. So I travel a lot, as mentioned early on.
So where's your next sort of educational seminar?
Yeah, it's going to be in Mission Valley in San Diego, that Deal or No Deal kind of tour.
All right.
It's going to be fun. I just did CE, a 2-hour CE class for Boston yesterday morning.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then in April, I will be in Massachusetts for a week doing education there, and then may wrap up part of this tour in Boise, and then I'm hoping to take it up to Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho.
So is this qualified continuing ed for attorneys?
This one isn't. No, my Deal or No Deal is more fun, happy hour, drink some wine, bring your popcorn.
Oh, that's much more fun then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's get some popcorn in there for sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm just curious now, what is your favorite popcorn?
So I actually started cooking a lot. My husband sells wine for a living, so I love cooking, and he picks the wine. And during
you pick the popcorn.
Yes. So whenever we have a movie, and it's not just picking popcorn, I do a margarita pizza popcorn with the mushroom pop.
Oh, wow.
It is amazing. So you got sun-dried tomatoes, a little dried basil, some red pepper flakes, pecorino romano.
Okay, send me that recipe.
Yes,
I'm definitely on board with that one. So that's great. I won't even ask you what wine pairings go with it, because that'd be another 2-hour conversation.
It would. It would.
Well, this has been very fun, and I look forward to talking to you again down the road here. And we will see how this all goes together later on.
Sounds great, Bruce. Thank you so much for having me. It was great meeting you.
It was great fun. I enjoyed it. It was very fun.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.